So if you own a 14 to 15 Silverado, you want to ditch some of that factory chrome in favor of a blacked out grille, but you don't want to spend the kind of crazy money it costs to get an entire grille replacement, you should be checking out these mesh overlay grille inserts from T-Rex. At around $400, these are actually on the more affordable end of the grille category on the site. However, these are not cheap by any means. $400 is a decent chunk of change, I get that, but you are definitely paying what you get for here. This is actually made out of a heavy gauge stainless steel, 304 stainless to be exact, considered a best of in the category, and it has a really nice thick black powder coat finish on top. So it's safe to say, more than aesthetics, this is definitely going to hold up to daily abuse, especially if you take your truck off-road. And on that note, it actually will provide a little bit of protection for the grille underneath. Other reason I really like this overlay, it's very simple to install. You should be able to get this done in about 30 minutes to an hour with basic hand tools. So for that reason, I'm going to give the install very easy, 1 out of 3 wrenches on my patented difficulty meter. So if you like the way this looks, and I'm personally a big fan of blacked out stuff, go ahead and stick around. I'm going to show you the install step by step. So let's go ahead and get started. For this install, you will need the following tools: a flathead screwdriver or a pry tool, a 7mm socket with an extension, a 10mm socket with an extension. Optional but helpful tools include a cordless impact. So to start this install, you're going to pop your hood and we're going to pull the rad cover from the engine bay. To do that, you're going to need a pry tool or a flathead screwdriver. There are 12 plastic push pins that are holding the rad cover in place. All right, now that we have our rad cover removed, the other piece of plastic trim we have to remove is the bumper cover right here, this painted portion. There are plastic retaining clips inside underneath the truck. We'll show you guys how to remove those in a second. However, on either side of the plastic trim piece, there's also some hardware securing it. There's a plastic push pin as well as a 6mm bolt. That hardware does break pretty easily. Our truck does not have that hardware, so we're going to crawl underneath and show you guys how to pop these plastic retaining clips. All right, once you've removed the fastening hardware in the fender wells for the plastic trim piece, you're going to pull these plastic retaining clips underneath and inside the bumper. It's helpful to have a pry tool or a flathead screwdriver. That way you can pinch inside here and separate the clips, then you can pull the plastic trim piece out. So with that plastic trim piece removed, you can now remove your grille. There are 8 10mm bolts holding it in place, 4 on top, 2 on the bottom sides, and 2 in the center. Once you pull those bolts, the only thing holding the grille in place are 2 plastic retainers. All you need to do to loosen those is use a little bit of hand pressure, just gently tug on either side of the grille, and it should pull off the vehicle. All right, now that we have our grille removed, we're going to do some work on the table here. Last step of our install is removing the intake seal. Holding the intake seal in place are 14 7mm bolts. It's helpful to have an extension with you as well because they are seated pretty deep inside. All right, now that we have that intake seal removed, we're ready to install our overlays. Pretty straightforward. You're just going to take the overlay and press it in place where it's supposed to sit. Once you've done that, it's helpful to have a little bit of tape. Hold these down. Once you flip it over, you can install the J-hooks with the nylon locking nuts and the metal brackets. All right, once your mesh overlays are in place, you can go ahead and reinstall your intake seal. All right, now that your grill's back together as one piece and the intake seal's tightened down, you can go ahead and reinstall it back on your truck. All right, now that your grill is in place, you can reinstall your plastic trim piece above your front bumper and also throw the rad cover back on. So as you can see, this does install quite easily. It actually also wraps up my review of the Sport Series mesh overlay from T-Rex, fitting your 14 to 15 Silverado. I'm Travis, thanks for watching. For all things Silverado, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.